Right, well, we're away.
Okay. At the time we made this centre, there was a bit of research out from the States that showed that children really benefited from having something they were learning about personified. So we tried to make characters in here that they could really relate to. Actually, at the same time, we did a school play that had these characters in it as well. So they came from watching that school play to in here. And so the very first one here that they come and work at is Fill Me Up. And we go in any order, of course, but this is what I'm going to show you. And Fill Me Up is about drink containers. So both glass bottles and plastic bottles. And they come in here and they find out, first of all, on this side all about glass. They could do activities. So all these workstations here have been designed so that the children do activities, interactive learning that actually teaches them something about what we want them to teach about. We were quite concerned that we didn't want them to be having a fun time that wasn't actually teaching them something. So they sort out the bottles like you would if you were working in a resource recovery centre or a small resource recovery centre where you might have to hand sort them. Of course, now you might have optics in many of them, but we can talk about that with them. And just on a magnetic board can sort those things out. In all the stations, they learn about what resources are used to make things. So we think it's quite important that they're learning about Earth's resources, especially in relation to, say, capital and resource. I'll show you that. We actually have quite a big game where we work with clay and make cups. Then we look at what the cups are made of glass, and the cups are made of metal, or the cups are made from other things, plastic. What different resources they have to use to make them. So we show the sand that is used to make glass and all the range of glass stuff up there. And then on this side of Fill Me Up, we have plastics. So we've got a range of plastics up here. We talk about the numbers underneath them and look at the numbers. Since that's one of the main things we've got to do is for sorting. And then we talk about, usually I'll be wearing a jacket that's been recycled out of number 1 PET. So that gets recycled into that, but it's found in soft drink bottles and water bottles and salad domes, biscuit trays, etc. And the kids can come and turn all those around and find out that that's number 1. And likewise, number 2 is one we know really commonly. Gets recycled into buckets and things, but it's found in milk bottles and shampoo bottles and other bottles like that. And they can go through all the different types of plastics, and they learn why they can't be mixed in most things, and they get all closed up. And here we've got Popsy, who is a can, and it's got a squeaky can. And on this side we've got aluminium. So they play with a magnet here, just like you would in a resource recovery centre, where magnets are used to sort the metals, the alloys from the steel, and that pulls that up, whereas that one's not attracted to the magnet. And they also look at all the characteristics of the different metals. One's heavier and etc. So they play with that in there. And they learn that aluminium cans often actually start out of bauxite looking like that. It uses heaps of energy to turn into this. Whereas if you use an aluminium can and want to turn into a bit of that, it uses hardly any energy comparatively. And then just with the steel, we've got the can, and just learn about how it gets made. And in P-baggy, P stands for paper or plastic, and the other sort of P-baggy or something like that. And in here they learn about paper on this side, and just what sorts of paper can go in the recycling bin, and how much paper's like to be in their school waste. And then they have examples of recycled plastic. You can look in here and see different bits of box board and stuff like that. And over here is more about plastic. So one of the main things we look at is, how many plastic bags New Zealanders actually throw in the rubbish dump every year. So, there's about 10 million plastic bags a week. If you tied them end on end, it would go around the world 3 times. So we sort of talk about that too. And how to make a choice between different bags to use. And here we come to Corey, who's actually an apple core. And this is a fun one. They really quite like this. Just shows how compost heap's made up and the whole little ecosystem of a compost heap. So it's its own little world, and there with all everything playing its own part. So as well as earthworms, which I don't know which flap an earthworm's under, Oh, there's a millipede there, a centipede there. There must be slug there. They can pick up all those, and I might get them to say, as part of their treasure hunt, they might have to find what's the smallest creature that lives in your compost heap. So they'll come and lift up all those facts, trying to figure out which one's the smallest. And they also just learn about how nature recycles all the time. And leaves fall, fruit fall off the tree, compost on the ground, and then go back providing nutrients for the trees for next year's crop.
So that's the 4 workstations.
So those are the 4 main workstations. Those are the 4 that are personified. We've got